The quiet art of being heard. I wanted to start with something that might be a little uncomfortable to hear. You're really good at what you do. I mean that. You didn't stumble into your craft. You earned it. Years of discipline, years of reps nobody saw, years of choosing depth over shortcuts while everyone around you chased the quick version. The skill is real. The mastery is real. And almost nobody knows. Not because you failed, not because the market's too crowded, but because somewhere along the way you decided that being visible meant being loud, and being loud felt like the opposite of everything that you stand for. So you stayed quiet. You let the work speak for you. And the work, it did speak. It speaks to the people who already found you. And here's the part that should bother you. How many didn't find you? How many people woke up this morning with the problem that you've solved thousands of times, typed something into a search bar and ended up with something louder, not better, not deeper, just louder? Someone who showed up because they weren't afraid to take up space. Now, now that person is the one who needs your depth, your specificity, your decades of earned pattern recognition. They're getting diluted versions of what you could have given them. And they don't even know it. You can't miss, what you've never found. So that's not humility, that's a cost. And the bill isn't going to go to your ego. It's going to the people that you were built to serve. My name's Dr. Natan Verkhovsky. I've been blessed to spend the last 30 years coaching elite performers, more than 20,000 of them, Olympians, Cirque du Soleil acrobats, combat veterans building new lives after the uniform comes off, special operations leaders, surgeons, trial attorneys, people who operate at the edge of what's humanly possible. And it's across four major pillars. So we're looking at mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional. And there's one thing I can tell you with absolute certainty. After 30 years and 20,000 people, it's this: the skill was never the issue. Not once. What kept them from reaching the people who needed them most was always the same thing. They didn't know how to be heard without performing. They didn't know how to be visible without becoming someone they're not. So I'm going to give you three quick drills today, not theories, not a framework that you need to go study. Three things you can do before you close this video. And you can come through it as 30 years of work in locker rooms, backstage warm-ups, military briefing rooms, the quiet offices of people that are brilliant and not visible. So nothing to buy, nothing to sign up for, just tools that you can use right away. Now, before we go into the drills, just needed to name the thing that's actually stopping you. Because it's not laziness. It's not fear of failure. It's taste. You've seen what visibility looks like out there. That ring light confessional, the rehearsed vulnerability, the podcast that really is just like 12-step sales funnel wearing a microphone. You've watched people turn their credentials into content, their content into noise, and their noise into a personal brand. And something in you recoils at that, and rightfully so. So when someone tells you that you need to put yourself out there, what you hear is become that. And you'd rather stay invisible than become that. I respect that instinct. It's actually a sign that your compass works. But it's pointing you in the wrong conclusion. So there's a space between silence and noise. It's called signal. Signal is what happens when a tuned person shows up in a tuned way. It's not louder than noise, it's clear. It doesn't fight for attention. It cuts through because it's precise. I want you to carry this metaphor with you long after the video is over. So think about the difference between a siren and a tuning fork. A siren grabs everyone. It's designed to be impossible to ignore. It screams, it demands, it works for emergencies. But nobody walks towards a siren on purpose. Nobody hears one and thinks, that's exactly what I've been looking for. A tuning fork is different. It's going to produce one clear frequency: quiet, specific, precise. And if you're tuned into that frequency, oh man, that's going to be the exact note that you've been searching for. You hear it immediately. You don't hear it because it's loud. You hear it because it's yours. It resonates. And it finds you through precision, not force. And that's what I'm going to teach you to become. Not a siren, a tuning fork. So, first drill, ground check. Everything else I'm going to teach you builds on this, so don't skip it. In 30 years of working with performers at the highest levels, people who command rooms, stages, arenas, operating theaters, battlefields, the ones who hold attention without grabbing for all the share is that one quality. They're grounded. They're physically settled into their bodies. Their energy doesn't leave out in nervous gestures or filler words. There's no need to fill every silence with sound. They're in their body before they're in the conversation. And the person on the receiving end is going to feel that, even if they can't name it. I first saw this clearly with gymnasts. When an Olympic gymnast approaches the balance beam, 4 inches wide, 4 feet off the ground, they don't start with the flip. They start with the mount. And before the mount, there's the moment that you can see if you know what you look for. Hands on the beam, full stop. That's not hesitation. That's not nerves. That's calibration. They're checking in with the only instrument that matters, their own body. Am I here? Am I in this? Good. Now go. So here's what happens when you skip this step. You go straight to content. You start talking, recording, typing before you actually arrived in the moment. And whoever's on the receiving end of that is going to feel that wobble. The words are fine, the information is solid, but something is still off. And it's the difference between watching someone throw a punch from solid footing versus watching someone throw the same punch on ice. So the technique's the same, but nothing lands clean because the base isn't there. That's where the ground check takes 10 seconds. Here's exactly what you do. Before you speak, before you write, before you press record, before you walk into any room where you need to be heard, check 3 points. Feet. Feel the surface under you. Floor, chair, ground, doesn't matter. Don't visualize it. Don't imagine roots growing from your spine into the earth. Actually feel the physical world beneath you. Make contact with something real before you try to reach someone. 2 seconds. Hands. Drop them. If they're clenched, open. If they're gripping your phone, let it go for a second. If they're fidgeting, still them. Your hands are the baritone and the barometer of your nervous system. I've watched this across thousands of performers. The moments the hands settle, the voice drops into its real register, the performative tone disappears when you stop narrating and you just start speaking. So that's your hands. And we started with your feet. Now let's do breath. One exhale. Not a deep breathe in. A deep breathe in actually increases tension. Chest puffs up, shoulders rise, and now you've got more air and more anxiety. Just exhale. Let the air leave. Let that one exhale release valve. Let your shoulders drop. Let your body handle the inhale on its own. The one exhale is the release valve for every ounce of I need to prove something sitting in your chest. The feet, the hands, the breath, 10 seconds. You've just done something that the vast majority of people who step into visibility never do. You arrive in your own body before you reach and try to see into someone else's mind. So think about that. Feet, hands, breath, 10 seconds. And when you're focused on this, the ground check, the 10 seconds in the hallway before the door, feet on the marble, hands on the sides, one exhale. And then let's say after the briefing, it felt like I remembered who I actually am. That's all that grounding does. It doesn't add anything to you. It returns you to what you already were there. And so you don't need more. You need to stop leaving yourself behind on the way in. Try it now. Wherever you are, feet, hands, breath, do it before you keep watching. I'll be here. Good. Hold on to that. We're building. Second drill. This is the silence sentence. and it's all about signal. So your signal sentence, this is where most practitioners are going to get permanently stuck. Not because you don't know what you do, they know it cold, but because you've never distilled what you do into something that actually lands in another person's chest. Here's the pattern. Someone asks you, what do you do? You're at an event, you're online, you're at your kid's school, whatever. And what comes out? Your title, your modality, your certifications. You describe what you are and how you work. You don't describe any of the transformation that you do to others. You skip the only question that the other person is actually running in the background. Can this person help me with the thing I'm dealing with? Built in a very selfish, self-serving, what's in it for me kind of mentality. That's the base programming. That's what we run on. So if your answer doesn't speak to that, you've lost them. They'll smile, they'll nod politely, and then they've forgotten you by the time they reach the parking lot. Not because you're forgettable, but because you answered the wrong question. The human brain doesn't store credentials, it stores relevance. It stores, this person got my attention, they get my problem. So signal sentence is designed to trigger exactly that reaction. The instantaneous recognition of, this person understands what I'm carrying, before the other person even realizes they're evaluating you. And this is the structure, is almost offensively simple. Ready? You can repeat after me. The quote is, I help blank blank. So I help first blank. Who do you help? I help astronauts. Great. Second blank. Do what? You help astronauts do what? I help astronauts come back to Earth in their bodies as well as their minds after going to space. Wonderful. No jargon, no qualifiers, no, well, it really depends on the situation. Just the truth. Concentrated, right, to its most potent form. Now, I'll give you an example where you can feel some of that. I was working with, my goodness, so many people that are, let me pick one. Let's look at a retired special operations leader. 23 years service, built in teams of environments most people can't even imagine. Transitioned into corporate leadership consulting, and spent years trying to describe his work in corporate language. Organizational resilience, strategic alignment, decision architecture under complex conditions. They're all accurate, but they're all completely forgettable. He sounded like a LinkedIn summary instead of one of the most dangerous people in the room. His signal sentence, I help leaders make hard decisions when the stakes are real. That's how we trained it. When we got it right, that's what it sounded like. And every executive who heard that leaned forward, because they all have decisions they're sitting on. They all know the stakes are real. They just didn't have the language for what they needed until he handed it to them. And that's what makes it so real. So you can look at another example, a therapist. They specialize in first responders. Brilliant clinician, careful work. Her old intro was a paragraph long and three acronyms. Nobody outside of her profession even recognizes all these numbers and letters after her name. When we finished, her signal sentence was, I help the people who save everyone else. You felt that. That's what real clarity does. It doesn't explain, it lands. Now, here's the part that's going to feel hard. The signal sentence requires you to leave things out. You can't mention every certification. You can't list every population you've ever served. You have to choose. And choosing who you're for means accepting who you're not for. And that's a loss. It's a small one, but it feels real. And that's where the spiritual pillar comes in, because that kind of specificity takes faith. Faith that the right people are going to hear your frequency. Faith that a precise net catches better than a wide one. Faith that you don't have to be everything to everyone. You just have to be unmistakable to the right someone. So every tuning fork is going to give up every frequency except one. That's what makes it a tuning fork and not an instrument that plays a bunch of notes. It only plays one. And that's why it's so useful. That when you play that note on a tuning fork, you know it can't be anything but. And that's what makes you heard. So before the video is over, draft yours. I help blank. Who do you help? Blank. Do what? I help who do what? Write it on a napkin. Type it in your notes. Wherever you do, say it out loud. If it sounds like a brochure, strip it down If it doesn't make somebody lean forward, it's not done. You'll know it's right when it scares you a little bit. Real clarity always does. So let's look at the third drill. And this is where everything converges. This will be the ground check. And that's your foundation. Then we'll look at the signal sentence. And that's your message. This is now the 3-breath broadcast. And that's the moment you actually let yourself be heard. Here's why you need a specific protocol for this. You can be perfectly grounded. You can have a signal sentence that would make somebody's jaw drop. But the moment you're about to press record, hit publish, open your mouth in a room where it matters, your nervous system will fight you hard. It'll fight you because it's been trained to. By your culture, by your upbringing, by every mentor who told you to let the work speak for itself. By every time you saw someone self-promote and felt your stomach turn. By that voice in the back of your head that whispers, who are you to take up that space? And that voice is wrong. And it's costing people. Not you, the people who can't find you. That's the shame. This drill is how you override it, not by forcing past the resistance, not by white knuckling through it, by reframing what you're actually doing when you show up. So next time you're about to share something, a post, video, a pitch, maybe a conversation where someone needs to hear what you know, take 3 breaths. With each one, you say one sentence to yourself, silently, internally, like a reset before a heavy rep. Breath 1. This is not about me. This is the spiritual reset. Takes your ego completely off the table. You're not sharing because you want others or followers or applause or validation. You're doing this because somewhere someone is struggling with something you've already solved 1,000 times. The moment this stops being about you, the fear of judgment drops in half. Because you're no longer protecting yourself, you're serving someone. And service has never been the thing that scares you. You've been doing that your whole career. This is just service with a wider reach. Second breath. Someone is searching right now. This is the emotional anchor. This takes it from philosophical to urgent. Not theoretical, not eventually. Right now, someone is scrolling, someone is Googling, someone is asking a friend, do you know anyone who could help me with this? And they're looking for exactly what you do. If your signal isn't out there, they'll find someone else. Maybe someone decent, maybe someone who's good enough, maybe someone who isn't, but they won't find you. And you might have been the one that changed everything for them. You can't know, but you can make sure you're findable. That's not pressure, that's purpose. And breath 3, I am already ready. Mental and physical lock in. You don't need another certification. You don't need to read or write another book. You don't need to wait until your website's perfect, your headshot is updated, your bio is polished, or you figured out the magical algorithm. You spent years, in some cases decades, earning this. You've done the work in the dark. And it's without recognition. It's without any right thing that you have to do. So you're not becoming ready. You arrived a long time ago. The only thing left is to stop waiting for permission that was always yours to give yourself. 3 breaths, 3 sentences, then you go. That's the protocol. Simple enough to remember, powerful enough to change how you show up every single time. So when I use this with Olympic athletes, they're technically flawless and they're physically prepared beyond most. But into that tunnel of themselves in their mind, 3 breaths cleanses the tunnel. It's not about me. Someone watches needs to see this. I already am ready. And that's how you perform in a way that is entirely your own. And those 3 breaths can help you. So let me bring this home. You chose mastery. You chose it when no one was watching, no one was clapping. In a world that rewards volume, you chose depth. In a world that celebrates appearance of expertise, you did the unglamorous work of building the real thing, quietly, deliberately, one person at a time. And that matters. And the world needs to know that you're here, not for your sake, but for theirs. The people who need your specific frequency are still searching right now and today. And it requires three things: ground, so your presence does the work before your words have to; signal, so the right people recognize you the moment they hear you; and go, so you stop waiting for permission that you've never had. You have the drills, you've got the framework, you've practiced the first one during the video if you did it right, and you're going to draft the second one before the day is out. The third one is 3 breaths away, and it changes how you could show up tomorrow. Your mastery was never the problem. Being heard doesn't require being loud. It requires being tuned. I'm Dr. Natan Verkhovsky, and I play at the intersection of mindset and marketing, where belief becomes brand. Stay blessed and reach out to me if there's anything I can do to possibly help you get further on down the road in your own personal journey. If, like me, you believe that blessed people, stay blessed, reach out, and each one teach one. Thank you.